We're in Daf Lamed Tes. Today's Daf is Daf Lamed Tes. We're the last bit of the parak of chapter Amal Amuna, the third chapter. We're in Lamed Ches Amid Beis, 38b. The second very wide line. Amar Rabbi Chia bar Abba Amar Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Chia bar Abba said in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, Ein tzaddik nifna min ha'olam, a righteous person does not pass from the world. Ad shenivra tzaddik kamosa, until another righteous person like him comes to the world. Shenemar, as it says, v'zorach hashemesh uva hashemesh, and the sun goes down and the sun shines again. Ad shalei kafsa shimsha shalei li. Before the sun, the light of Eli had set, the son of Shmuel, meaning the light of Shmuel, had already started to shine. And the Gemara elsewhere has a list of many Chachamim that when they died, the next one, when each one of them passed, the next one was already there to see this idea of that Hashem prepares Chachamim for every generation as the ones from the previous one pass. Amar Rabbi Chia bar Abba, Amar Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Chia bar Abba said in the name of Rabbi Yochanan further, Ra Kadosh Baruch Hu tzadikim what Hashem saw that in the history of the universe, the tzadikim are few and far in between. So therefore Hashem placed them in every generation, spread them out, so that there's tzaddikim in every generation. Shemar first says, Ki Lashem mitzukei eretz, for it is to Hashem there's mitzukei eretz, the mountains, if you would, of the world. Vayashas aleim tevel. And Hashem placed upon them Tevel, the universe. And furthermore, Rabbi Yochanan said, it is even on account of one righteous person that the world will exist or exists. Shenema, for it says, "V'tzadik yisod olam," and the righteous person, singular, is the foundation, is the basis of the world. Rabbi Chia didei amar, and Rabbi Chia said his own interpretation on this. Rabbi Chia bar Abba said his own interpretation about this. Says we have another verse like that support for it. It says Raglei Chasidov Yishmor. The feet of his Chasidim, those that do Chesed, those that do righteousness, Hashem guards. Now, even though that Chasidov Tuva Mashma, that Chasidov is plural, his righteous ones. Yet Rav Nachman Yitzchak says Chasidov Ksiv, but it says it in the singular to tell you that it is a singular tzaddik is righteous. V'yamar Rabbi Chia bar Abba Amar Rabbi Yochanan. And Rabbi Chia bar Abba further says in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, Kivan sheyatza Rav Shnosav shel Adam v'lo yachata. If the majority of the years of a person have passed and he has not sinned, shuv ein echote, he will not sin. He will no longer sin. Now, even though that one is never guaranteed that they will not sin, but that Hashem will make it easier for them that they will not sin. Right? If he wants to, he will. Anybody can sin as long as they're alive. However, that part is what it means that he will have an easier time if he wants not to sin. And once somebody has established themselves as a chassid, as a righteous one of Hashem, Hashem will guard his feet. The way Rabbi Shila Amri, in the academy of Rabbi Shila, they said, Kivan Shabal Liyadei Dvar Avera Pam Rishona Ushnia Ve'ena Chayte Shovena Chayte. If a person has an opportunity, an encounter that one could sin with, and had the strength to overcome that and chose not to sin once and then twice, then they will no longer sin. Meaning, again, a person would then will have the muscles not to sin, and unless they choose to try and do that, they will not transgress. Shenema, for it says, "Ragli Chassid of Yishmar," the righteous one's feet, he will guard. So this is the righteous one, because he kept himself back multiple times. Amar Reish Lakish Meidachsid. Reish Lakish says, what is the meaning of this verse when it says, "Im laleitzim hu yalitz v'la'anavim yitechem"? If for the scoffers, for the mockers, for the people who are frivolous, then Hashem responds like that. Hu yalitz, he also mocks. Ula'anavim, to those that are humble, to those that are righteous in humility. Yiten chen, Hashem gives chen. So the Gemara says, you know what it means? Im laleitzim, if to the scoffers, I mean someone himself is not a scoffer, but he attaches himself to the people who mock and don't take Torah and life seriously. So then they will become that way indeed. And if somebody attaches himself, somebody attaches himself to someone who is an anav, then he becomes that way as well. And from here we see that somebody who comes to do a sin, to do evil, to do tumah, it's open to him. But if somebody comes to do to purify, to do something right and appropriate, Messiah, not only is it open to him, but he has assistance from heaven. I said, Messiah, Rabbi Shmuel, and we have the academy of Rabbi Shmuel taught. It's like someone who sells neft, which is like kerosene. It's a fuel that is foul, has a foul odor. Similar to tar, yeah. And a farsamon, and forget the English for farsamon. It's balsam, right? So now on Lamed Testament Aleph 39a, balim dod neft. So if he's going to measure out, somebody wants to buy neft, this kerosene, this bad odored fuel. I'm a limited that till atzma. I go ahead, I'll let you measure. Yeah, here's a measuring cup and go ahead and do it because you don't want any of that smell on yourself. But if he's coming to buy balsam oil, which has this great odor and it's wonderful, so he says, let me help you measure it out because anything that gets onto your hands or to yourself, that's great. Wait, I will measure with you. Kadeshin is basam anivata. So both of us will get the scent. So again, over here, also the same thing that if somebody wants to do wrong, Shemaim says, go ahead and do it. If somebody wants to do right, Shemaim says, come, let's work on it together. The very Shmuel, Tana Rabbi Shmuel, we have a further teaching in the academy of Rabbi Shmuel. Avera mitamtemes libo shel adam. Sin clogs the heart of a human, of a person, and blocks out wisdom. Shenema, for it says, "V'leititamu b'hem v'nitmeisam b'hem." Don't. The Torah says don't about foods and animals that not to eat. The Torah says don't eat these because anybody that does don't become tamei through eating it. V'nitmei sembam, because if you do so, you will become tamei. Now, it says don't make yourself tamei with it, because if you do, you will become tamei. That's circular and superfluous, and you don't need that. So rather, the word v'nitmei semba means I'll take v'nitmei sem, and you will become tamei, but v'nitamtem, that you will become clogged. Tamei is a word of a clog, a spiritual clog, in the flow of kedusha, of holiness and tumah and tahara and purity from Shemayim, from heaven, from the source. And so this is a clog in the heart. Tan Rabbanan, the Rabbanan taught, you will not make yourself tamei with it. That the more somebody brings this upon themselves tumah, the more tumah will come upon them. And as Rashi points out, not because Shemayim will put it on him, as we saw earlier, that Shemayim says, you're on your own, you want to sin, go ahead and do it, right? However, the idea is that once somebody gets clogged, so their wisdom is clogged, and so it's harder for them to know what to do, and so it becomes sort of a snowballing effect. And however, in the reverse, if somebody does something good, that brings tahara and kedusha upon themselves, and the more they do so, the more they help from Shemayim to bring more kedusha. Tarabanim is kadishtem. You will make yourselves holy, or let yourself become holy, v'yisem kedushim, and you will be holy. So even just allowing yourself reflexively, v'his kadishtem, you allow yourself to become holy, that'll come from Shemayim. Adam mekadesh atzma ma'at, the person makes himself a little bit holy. Mekachan oseharbe, they in Shemayim they bring a great holiness upon him. Melamata, person becomes a little bit holy from below. Mekachan osemelamala, make him very holy from above. Adam azeh, make him holy in this world. Mekachan oselamabah, make him holy in the world to come. With this, we complete the third parak, Amal and Mamuna, and we shall come back to you as this Hashem is. Torah bekalpi. So he grabs out of the box, the lottery box, the helishte gorillas, and he brings up the two lotteries. Echad kasav alav lashem, echad kasav alav lazazel. One of them is written upon it lashem, and one it's written upon it lazazel. Hasgan b'yamino v'resh beisav mismol. And as we mentioned in the previous Mishnah, the deputy is to his right, and the head of the household is to his left. If you want the Gemara's up there, we put it. If you want to say, Im shem shel shem Allah b'yamino. If the lottery that has Hashem's name on it, Yoma. Yeah. Mm-hmm. If the lottery that said Hashem's name on it is came up in his right hand, so we're 39. So Hasgan, the deputy who's on his right, says to him, Ishi Kohen Gadol, my master, the high priest, my master Kohen Gadol. Had Bei Yemincha, raise up your right hand, because in the right hand was the lottery for Hashem. Ve'im shel shem Allah b'smoiloi, and if it came up on in his left hand, so his left hand is where the lot that says Hashem's name is on. Reish Beis Av Omer Loi, the head of the house of the household that's on the watch for that week, is going to say to him, and he's to his left. So he's going to say to him, Ish Kohen Gadol Beis Mocha, my master Kohen Gadol, raise your left hand. Nasna Nashnei Asirim. Now he puts the two lotteries on the two goats. V'Omer Lashem Chatas, and he says to the one that's Lashem, it's a sin offering. Rabbi Shmuel he didn't say it's a sin offering. He would just say Ela Lashem. He would say to Hashem. And all that hear him respond when he mentions Hashem's name fully uttered. They would say Baruch Shem Kavod Machuso L'Olam Va'ed. Blessed is the honor of the name of his kingdom forever.
They would pronounce it. They wouldn't say out of Hashem. They would say actually.
The Kohen Gadol would say Hashem's name.
Oh, wow.
Now, Lamali Taraf Bekalpi. Why does it have to be that he quickly takes it out of the kalpi taraf, like sort of grabs it? Why not just stick his hand in and take one and slowly? So he can't feel the engraving or the lettering on that lot to see whether it says La Azazel or La Shem. So in order not to just to really draw the lot, he has to stick his hand in and pull one out, pull both out. Amar Rabbi said, Kalpi shel eitzoso. The lottery box was wood, and it was not sanctified. And it fits just the two hands that he would put in there. Maskef lo Ravina, so Ravina challenged, okay, I get it. It only has two hands, so he can stick his hand in quickly, both hands, and nothing else, and he can't really mix them around to try and feel. He just sticks his hand in and takes it. So he can't choose which one goes in the right, which one in the left. He just sticks his hand in and takes it. Ela shel choil. But why did it have to be a non-sanctified lottery box? Nikatra. Let's sanctify it. And when it says Mkain Havali Klisharis, Shalates, it's an it's a wooden box that's a service vessel, right? And a Klisharis Eitz, we never make a wood service vessel. They'd be made of silver or gold. So the kesef, the zav. So make it of silver, of gold. Big deal. And then when it says no, since it was not necessary to be a sanctified vessel, so HaTorah chas ha'mamenashe Yisrael. The Torah was chas. The Torah had concern for the great expenses already for Bnei Yisrael, and not to have an expense that was unnecessary. Now the oddity of that is that there was so much gold and so much elaborate. In the Gemara it says usually the other way around. Ein aniyus b'makam ashirus, where there's wealth, there's no place for this poverty, this show of poverty, and there was this largesse going on at the Beis Hamikdash with all this, and here on this particular thing where it says, well, Hashem was concerned about the excessive cost of this lottery box being gold. It begs an explanation. Okay. Masnita de loike haitana. So the Mishnah is not like this opinion. What's this opinion? In our Mishnah, it says that the Kohen Gadol will put both his hands into the lottery box, and whatever comes out, comes out. One to the right, one to the left. However, in this price, we're going to see that the Kohen Gadol puts his right hand in, and the deputy puts his right hand in. This way, whichever one gets it, it's going to be the right. It's going to be in the right hand. We learned Rabbi Yehuda, Mishum Rabbi Elazar Asgan, the Kohen Gadol machnisin yada. It is the deputy and the Kohen Gadol to put in their right hand. Each one puts their right hand in, Bakalpi, into the lottery box. If it came up to the one that says Hashem is in the hand of the Kohen Gadol, Hasgan Omer lo ishi Kohen Gadol, the deputy says, my master Kohen Gadol, Hagbei Yemincha, raise your right hand, because he got the one Hashem, and that goes to the goat on the right. However, if it was in the hand of the Sagan, so Rosh Beis Av, who was on the left, would say, Omer lo Kohen Gadol, daber milcha, pronounce it, say your word. Now he would say it. You say utter Hashem's name. So he tells him, say this one is Hashem. The name of Gan. Why didn't the deputy tell him all right, you pronounce Hashem's name, so that he not become upset that here the deputy is the one that got Hashem, the one that has Hashem's name on it, and he's telling me that I need to utter it. So the other would say, but Micah and Palgi. So what's the basis of this machlokes? Marasav Yamina, this God, Adam Mismola the Kohen Gadol. It is better that the lot that has Hashem's name come up in the right hand of the deputy rather than the left hand of the superior. And the other says no, it is better or at least equal that the Kohen Gadol's left hand to the deputy's right hand, and therefore leave it all with the Kohen Gadol. And whose opinion is this? Uman Aitana the Palagali, the Rabbi Yehuda. Now, if we have Rabbi Yehuda says that in the name of Rabbi Eliezer that the deputy put his hand in, our Mishnah that says that it went directly, whose opinion is that? So the Gemara says Rabbi Chanina Skana Kahanim. It was actually Rabbi Chanina, the deputy, the Kahanim. Rabbi Chanina himself was a deputy. Said no, the deputy didn't put his hand in. It was the Kohen Gadol that took both. The time we learned Rabbi Chanina Skana Kahanim, Rabbi Chanina the Skana Kahanim, the deputy. Omer lehem. He says Lamas got me minoi. Why was the Sgan, the deputy, on the right side? She'em ira by psul, in case something invalidates the Kohen Gadol and he can no longer do the avodah. The Kohen Gadol nichnas Sgan mashamash tachtav. The deputy can go in, step in on behalf of the Kohen Gadol. So you see that he's only there if something goes wrong. But the actual lottery, he didn't do any of that, because if he did part of lottery, then Rabbi Chanina, Sgana Kahanim, Rabbi Chanina, the deputy himself, would have said, "Oh, you know why there's a need for a deputy? Because he does the lottery together with the Kohen Gadol." And since he didn't say that, he just said, "Oh, in case something goes wrong, then he steps in to take over." That tells us that he's of the opinion that the Kohen Gadol is the whole thing himself. Tana Rabbanan. So the Brisa taught. Arbaim Shana Shishimish Shimon HaTzadik, the 40 years that Shimon the righteous, Shimon HaTzadik, was the Kohen Gadol, the Yigor L'Oila B'Yamin, the lottery that had Hashem's name on it, Hashem always came up on the right side. It was always in his right. But in the years following Shimon HaTzadik, where there was struggle amongst the Kohanim Gedolim, and they brought in the Greeks and the Romans, and there was trouble, and Kohanim Gedolim bought their way in. So from there on, sometimes Hashem's name was in the lottery in the right, in his right hand, and sometimes the left. All the years of Shimon HaTzadik, the red string, the red wool that was placed around the goat that was sent down the hillside and on the rock over the top and at the door of the Beis Hamikdash, and all that, and those red strings would all turn to white during the years of Shimon HaTzadik. However, Mikan ve'elech, after those 40 years of Shimon HaTzadik, some years it did, some years it did not. Furthermore, Vayaner Ma'aravi, and the western candle of the menorah, which in a moment we'll talk. What is the western one? It was always, it would last throughout the night and continue on a light beyond the rest of them. However, after that, after the days of Shimon HaTzadik, sometimes it would and sometimes it would not last. So what was the what was the western candle? So we know that we saw there was a machlokes of whether the menorah was placed east-west along the southern wall of the Beis Hamikdash, or it was placed north-south direction on the southern wall of the Beis Hamikdash. We know the menorah was on the southern wall of the Beis Hamikdash, but it's unclear if it was along the southern wall from east to west, or it was perpendicular. It was north to south. So if it was east to west, so the easternmost is candle number one. The second one in is called Ner Ma'aravi, the first western one. It's not the farthest west, but it is the one after the easternmost, meaning the first one that's towards the west, and that one would stay alight always if it was east-west. If it was north-south, then none of them are western one. So the center one, the fourth one from either side, because there were three on each side, seven, it was a candelabra of seven, so six on either side of the center. And the center one, so all of the six on either side, three on the one side, three on the other, the wicks were pointing towards the center one. And the center one, the wick was pointing towards the west, towards the Holy of Holies. So that's why that's called the center one. Either way, the western one. Either way, the western one would last the longest, even though that was where you started lighting from, and and all of them had the same amount of oil in it. It would last beyond the rest. And that's true all of the days of Shimon Tzaddik, 40 years. But after that, when for the rest of the Beis Hamikdash, sometimes it did, and sometimes it did not. Another thing that happened in the days of Shimon Tzaddik is Vayesh Eish Shabaracha Mizgaber, the fire, the pyre on the Mizbeach remained alight. Regardless of how much wood they put in or didn't, it remained a fire, and they didn't have to bring more wood all the time to keep the fire going. And the only thing they would put in is every day they would put in these 2 blocks of wood on account of that's a mitzvah. It's a carbonate, it's its own carbon, but they wouldn't need to. It was not necessary to add more wood to the fire. The Kohanim did not need to bring more wood for the fire, besides for the 2 chunks of wood that were brought every day as a part of the carbon. Because that was a mitzvah, to fulfill the mitzvah of bringing wood. But you didn't need more than that. But from here onward, sometimes it was a strong fire and you didn't need wood, and sometimes it required a lot of wood. And then the Kohanim could not hold back from bringing firewood to the Mizbeach all day long. It would just needed so much wood. Furthermore, in the days of Shimon HaTzadik, nishtalcha bracha ba'imir, in the meal offering of the Yomer, which was not a lot, it was a great bracha, and there was plenty, and it sustained a little bit of it. It sustained a lot, and the same with the 2 breads of Shavuos, the shtei alechem, uvelechem apanim, and in the lechem apanim, the showbread that was eaten, that was baked fresh each week, and the Kohanim would eat it on Shabbos. That too, every Shabbos, the Kohanim would split them, and it was a great bracha. They ate a little bit and became satiated and full and blessed. And the Kohen who would get 1 olive size, either he would eat the full olive size and be totally full, so it was a blessing, and in that he was satiated and nourished. Some people would eat it, and it was so much that there was leftovers. But after the 40 years of Shimon HaTzadik, There was a no blessing, the opposite in the Omer. In the two breads, the lechem upon him and in the showbread. And every kohen would get a kapul, like a bean size. Some say fava bean. But they would get kapul, and the tzenuin people and the this pool size, this bean size, they would hold back and not eat it because it wasn't in any case, it wasn't an olive size, and there was people wanted so much because they couldn't get satiated and full from it. So the humble people, the modest people, they would hold back. So they were the people that were somewhat more righteous. They would hold back from eating it, and the people who wanted to eat more and more, so they would take extra portions of these bean size and to get more in order to eat. There was one fellow who took not only his own portion, but someone else's portion as well. And he was known as the son of the of grabbing, of stealing. So now on Lamed Testament base 39b. And how do we know that the word chamtzan means theft, stealing? He was called that way till the end of his days. Amar Rabbi Bar Shela Me'ekra. From which verse do we know that it means theft? That's the word chometz, because it says in Tehillim we say Elokai Palteni Miyad Rasha. Let me be saved from the hands of an evil person. Mikaf Ma'avel v'chometz, from the palms of someone who does evil, and chometz, theft. So you see that it is the word chamtzan is theft. Rabbi says from here, Limdu heitev dirshu mishpat ashru chometz. Teach or learn to do good and seek justice and correct that chometz, that which is stolen, that which is in ashru chometz. Correct that which is the one who was stolen from, and that we learn also halacha from that that we follow the one who is calling, who was making the claim that he was stolen, and not the one who the claim was made against in court. So we say the court goes to the tovea, to the one making the claim, meaning in which region, which area. Tanarabban. So we're now in the fifth line of 39b. The Brisa taught, the year that Shimon HaTzadik passed away, after 40 years of this righteous leader who during his time, all these things always went right, with blessing and miracles. So in that year that he passed away, Amalehem, so on Yom Kippur, he said to them, Mashana Zu Humes, this year he will die, talking about himself in third person. How do you know? On every Yom Kippur, I would, as I was going to the Holy of Holies, I would be greeted by someone by an elder person dressed in white, and had a head garment of white. And Nichnasimi would come in with me, and he would come out together with me. But today, I had an elder person come with me. However, he was garbed in black. And he had a head garment of black that was black. Nichnasimi, and he went in with me to the Holy of Holies, but he did not come out in me with me. And after Sukkot, for 7 days, he was ill, umeis, and then died. And they could, his brother, the Kahanim, they could not say the bracha, the blessing that the Kahanim give with Hashem's name. They couldn't utter it. A lack of what?
I said, wow.
Yeah. They didn't feel worthy. They couldn't do it. For the 40 years prior to the destruction of the second temple, the lottery did not come up on the right. And the red wool did not turn white. And the western candle, which we explain as either the second one from the east or the center one. And not only that, but the gates, the doors of the Beis Hamikdash would swing open on their own. Until Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai yelled at the doors of the Beis Hamikdash, and he said to them, "Amalei, heichal, heichal." He said, "Beis Hamikdash, Beis Hamikdash, heichal. Mipnei ma atam mavis atzmacha." Why are you hastening yourself? Why are you bringing this upon yourself? I know that you're opening the gates, you're opening the doors because you know that ultimately the destruction is on its way and the others, the foreigners are coming in. We know that. However, and this is already a promise from Zechariah the Ben Edo. This is already a promise from the prophet Zechariah, because as it says in the pasuk, Pesach Levanon Dlasecha, Levanon, the Beis Hamikdash was known as Lebanon, because it was the foot of the mountains of Lebanon. So Lebanon, Levanon, the Beis Hamikdash, open your doors, wide open it, and fire will consume your cedars. So the idea is that even Zechariah already said, the Beis Hamikdash, open your doors because the destruction is coming. Nevertheless, don't do this. And so the doors stop swinging open. Why is it called Levanon? It is the Levanon because the word Lavan, it whitens the sins of Bnei Israel. Why is it also called a forest? As it says, the house of the forest of Lebanon. To tell you, Mayar Melavlev, just as the forest, it buds and grows. Af Beis Hamikdash Melavlev, so too the Beis Hamikdash also has growth in it, and more comes off, and it has foliage. The Amar of Yeshaya, as Rabbi Yeshaya taught, when Shlomo built the Beis Hamikdash, nata by kalmine megadim, he planted in there. Planted is an interesting word, but he planted in there trees full that were fruit trees, but they weren't actually trees. They were gold, shelzah. They were golden trees, and he planted golden trees. And and in each season, that tree made of gold would bear fruit of that type. And when the wind would blow at it, saying the fruits would fall. It says in the pasuk, Yirash kalavanon period. It's noisy, like the Lebanon, like Lebanon, the fruit. And that's how the Kahanim were able to survive. They had funds. But once the non-Jews, the idolaters, once the enemy came into Beis Hamikdash, Yavshu, these fruit trees of gold, they withered away. Right? Typical gold. It grows and then it withers. It says, right? growth, the plant, the flower of Lebanon became umlal, became barren and forsaken. And Hashem is going to bring it back to us. Shneimah says, it'll grow forth flowers and be joyous. Avgilas varanein, also a joy and an expressive song of joy. The honor, the glory of Lebanon, the mountain, the Beis Hamikdash is given to her. It'll come back. So the Mishnah said that he would put the lottery, back to the Mishnah, he would put on Yom Kippur, he would put the lottery on the goats, one on the right and one on the left goat, and whichever one had Hashem's name he would pronounce. So Nasnan al Shtei Asirim, put it on the two goats. There are 10 times on Yom Kippur that Kohen Gadol mentions the name of Hashem. On that day. Gimel b'vidui rishon. 3 at the first vidui when he expresses his sins on the bull. And again 3 at the second vidui for himself and his family in the Kahanim. 3 by the goat that is sent out. We saw this earlier. It said he would start off Ana Hashem, oh please Hashem, and then he would say Ana Bashem Kaper, and please Hashem atone. Yeah. And then he would say, because on this day Hashem will atone for you, and L'fnei Hashem Titara, before Hashem you will become purified. So that Hashem is the third. So he said 3 times Hashem's name. So that's 9 for the 3 times that he said vidui. And 1 when he did the gorel, when he did the lottery, there was 1 more. And he said Hashem's, and when he would say Hashem's name, his voice could be heard all the way to Yericho, to Jericho. Rabbi Babachana, and we've seen this, that from Yerushalayim to Yericho is 10 parsa. V'tzir dalses ha'echel nishma b'shmeina techume Shabbos. The door, the hinge of the Beis Hamikdash doors, which were enormous, so that could be heard for 8 Tchum Shabbos. So a Tchum Shabbos is 2,000 amma. So for 16,000 amma. Izim shabi Yericho or misatches merecha keteres. And the goats in Jericho and Yericho would sneeze on account of the scent of the keteres. And nashim shabi Yericho tzriches lizbasa merecha keteres. And also the women in Yericho would not need to put on perfumes because they would get the beautiful scent from the incense in the Beis Hamikdash. And Kala Shebiyishalayim and Asichos Kashet Merechak Teres, and also the Kala, a bride in Yerushalayim would not need to put on perfume on account of the scent of the Keteris. The city of Jericho, the Philistine city, but around there was a city of Yericho afterwards. There is now as well. All right, let's leave it at that. Tomorrow we'll continue with some of these stories about the Beis Hamikdash and the Avodah as well. Okay, wishing you a great day. Chol tov.